Okay, Gary.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our November 16th, 2023 Hudson 7 board meeting. Just for everybody to remind, this is going to be our last official meeting for the year. We don't have a meeting in December. Okay, for that on that. But thank you for joining. Oh, hey, Nick is joining. So I'm going to read the interlog here. Thank you for joining the Hudson 7 Drinking Water Council's hybrid monthly meeting. Today, as I mentioned, is Thursday, November 16th. My name is Gary Bassett. I am the mayor of the village of Rhinebeck and also the chair of the Hudson 7. Tonight's Hudson 7 meeting will not be streamed live, but it will be recorded and uploaded immediately after the meeting on our YouTube channel. So our meetings occur in person and on hybrid. In person is here at the Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Facility located at 3431 North Road, Poughkeepsie. Public comment is allowed in both in-person and remotely. Please visit our website if you're in our meeting page to learn how you can provide public comment remotely and that's at www.hudson7.org. So in attendance tonight, we're going to go around the room. I'll start with Dottie. Just please introduce yourself and your role.
I'm Dottie Nobly. I am with the Poughkeepsie Drinking Water Plant, and I am a technical advisor.
Right. Gary Bassett, chair.
Devin Rigolino. I'm representing Dutchess County, voting member.
Hello, Nick Butler, Port Human Water Superintendent.
Lynn Ruggiero, Hyde Park.
Russ Gilmore, Town of Lloyd. Randy Allstat, Poughkeepsie Water Treatment Plant, representing the city of Poughkeepsie.
Voting member.
Yes.
Just so we make sure that we have a forum here. And on the screen, we have, I'll start at the top of my screen, Rebecca.
Yep, Rebecca Martin, Hudson 7, Source Water Protection Coordinator, Consultant.
Elizabeth.
Hi, Elizabeth Spinzia, Supervisor of Rhinebeck, voting member.
Paul.
Paul Malmrose, Engineering Technical Advisor for the Hudson 7.
Ben.
Hi, I'm Ben Gannon from Ulster County. I'm not a voting member.
Dan.
Dan Shapley, Riverkeeper, advisory member, not a voting member.
Thank you all. So we have a quorum tonight. We will begin the meeting. First, a little public announcement.
We have one more. I'm sorry. We have Emily Svensson on the line.
Where's Emily?
You push the arrow down.
Oh, we can't see Emily.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Emily.
Oh, her camera's off. That's why.
Emily, are you there?
Svensson, who's a technical advisor for land use.
All right, she's muted. Okay, so we have Emily as well. All right, so a little public announcement. As I mentioned, this is our last meeting for the year as an official board. We will meet again in January. Another announcement, there's going to be some changes. Lynn Ruggiero, who has been representing Hyde Park, hopefully will change in the future, but for right now, this will be Lynn's officially last meeting representing Hyde Park. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your involvement and your participation and what you brought into the meeting while you've been here, and fingers crossed.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm glad to have been here. I'm really impressed with all the work, so happy to be part of it.
Great. Thank you. All right, so we have a quorum. We have some minutes to approve. We have the approval of minutes for, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from 9/21/23.
So moved.
3.
Any discussion?
Second.
Anybody, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to approve our minutes from October 19th, 2023.
So moved.
It's all right.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Elizabeth, how about a treasurer's
Treasurer's report. Well, we've got all of our money in. Yay. And the town of Lloyd has already paid their dues for 2024. So gold star there.
Good.
I'm short about $2.70. I don't know where it is. I'll call the bank tomorrow. If not, we'll make it up. The town of Rhinebeck will make it up. And we're set to pay our coordinator through the end of the year, and we'll have money in the bank for the payment in January. And the only other thing is I am still not getting online access and the statement sent to me at Rhinebeck Town Hall, so I'm working on that. But everybody is paid, and Town of Lloyd Gold Star for paying for 2024. Any questions, comments, concerns?
So, Elizabeth, the monthly statement did come to my office yesterday. I haven't had a chance to bring it over, but it is arriving at my office.
I need it to come to me. I
Yeah,
can't
I
chase
agree.
it, and I need online access.
Yeah. I
So,
agree. I'll bring
I
that
thought-
statement over for you. to
It's
keep-
okay. Mike Tellerday emailed me everything, and he's going to help me get it set up. I just went to Michael, who's the
Okay.
president in Rhinebeck, and thanks though.
Any questions? Thank you all for keeping our funding going. All right, Rebecca, coordinator report.
Hey, everybody, so November has been busy. The work in this report reflects the month of November. And is centered around the council's organizational structure, the Hudson River anchorage rule change, known as the anchorages issue, Hudson River PCBs, and meetings with drinking water plant leadership to advance the Hudson Seven's goals in the future. Some of the actions, they're the same. There's some regular things. Preparing these meetings for you and for the public. Meeting on a regular basis with Mayor Gary Bassett, just to make sure everything that I'm doing, by the way, we discuss, and I go out throughout the month, but things come up. And so I appreciate that connection throughout the month to make sure that we're getting everything that we need to get done for you, or that I'm getting everything done for you. Coordinating, I'm sorry.
Never mind.
Okay. Coordinating all aspects of the Hudson 7 anchorage work that includes committee meeting coordination, press releases, coordination from both Riverkeeper and Representative Pat Ryan's office, especially regarding the new MSIB, the bulletin from the Coast Guard, quotes from the Hudson 7, and upcoming meetings with the New York State DEC's Hudson River Estuary Program regarding anchorages and other matters. Organized and attended calls with Mayor Gary Bassett and technical advisor Emily Svensson to discuss the ongoing work, the framework for the Hudson 7's 501c3 status or framework and opportunities which is ongoing. I had a great visit with Nick Butler. I met him at 7 a.m. on the river, and I really loved it. I got to meet the staff, and Nick walked me through all sorts of things that was really helpful. And I'm hoping to meet with Brian Alex next. I'm just going to keep it rolling and just keep coming. So, and learn as much as I can to bring back to the council. And did a big mapping of the Hudson 7's membership and of the primary and alternate members, so that and crafted a resolution and trying to keep us all on track, which we'll talk about later. The results of those things we have, and you can see all the materials for our meetings is up on our website for the public, including our goal document and my work plan. It's all public facing at this point for everybody to see. Facilitated the meeting with the Hudson 7 Anchorage Committee to discuss next steps in filing for an RNA. Set up a meeting with Heather Gearloff, which is now confirmed for December the 7th, to discuss the Anchorage rule change and other related Hudson 7 matters or initiatives. Reviewing potential organizational models for Hudson 7 501c3 framework. This is an ongoing effort, and developed a resolution for municipalities and counties for Hudson 7 membership and appointments. Next steps, I'm going to continue to do the 501c3 work, which I think is going well and is a big project. We were hoping to get it done by the end of this year, but I think it was a bit ambitious, but we're moving, and we'll talk about that tonight. continue to watch for the upcoming EM and CP on which is the Environmental Management and Construction Plan. That's the acronym for the public, on installation and construction for the Champlain Hudson Power Express project, and to help the Hudson 7 prepare for the upcoming comment period in January or February, sometime soon in the next few months. Happily, it's not going to happen over the holidays. That's great. And to support the municipalities and counties in the Hudson 7 with their membership process. Those are some big next steps. And so there's a lot of details, but I hope that that's helpful. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Good.
Oh,
Hey, thank you, Rebecca.
yep.
Can you go right into the communications, please?
So from Sean Carroll, we received the Cornell Cooperative Extension, or from the Cornell Cooperative Extension in Dutchess County, an upcoming Dutchess County Watershed Roundtable on Tuesday, December the 5th, and there's a link for you if you'd like to sign up to attend. I was curious, and maybe this isn't where this goes, but for water operators, whether or not anybody was able to attend the Hudson Valley Waterworks Conference that was on November the 9th. And if so, if there's any report back. There's an upcoming, maybe there was a lunch and learn, preparing for coastal floods with the Stevens Flood Advisory System that was hosted by the Hudson Valley Flood Resilience Network. And this is a link to that presentation. And Paul Melrose had submitted information on an upcoming deadline for a PFAS suit opt-out. And all of that information is in your source materials if you'd like to, read about that and reach out to Paul if you have any questions, or Dan. And I don't know, maybe Dan has some follow-up on that, or Paul. Otherwise, that's the end of the communications for this month.
I guess we would have to determine whether we want to support this. Basically, the federal court has settled with DuPont and also 3M that they would get certain settlements for it. And then 20 attorney generals, including New York State, said that this was too much of limiting liabilities for people who have PFAS. And, we could support that, or we could just basically say, well, New York State is doing something, so we'll just hang loose right now. But if we want to reply, we have to reply for the 3M by December and DuPont by February.
What is your recommendation, Paul?
I would recommend some way of us supporting it, because who wants to limit the liabilities? We don't know a lot about PFAS, and we don't know what all the problems that it could create.
Dan or anyone, is there some sort of, do you know of any other organizations that are planning to prepare comments on this?
I think
I don't, but I could check with New York State. AWWA would be probably the most.
I was
Yeah.
contacted by the city and gave them our data, and it was my understanding that they were going to submit a response. I would think that the town would too, because their wells are not available now because of PFAS.
Where is that, in the town of Poughkeepsie?
Yeah, they have 3 wells. I think 2 of them are bad.
Hi.
So is the recommendation of Hudson 7, or should it be individual municipalities like you just did for the city of Poughkeepsie?
I think the Hudson 7 could be supportive also. It wouldn't be that much, but you cover the group as a whole, and then the individuals can respond as they like.
Yeah, I just don't like to speak for the municipalities, that's all.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, if I understand, I think it's each municipality that has a water treatment plant is potentially settling, I guess, or agreeing to this settlement or not. Is that right, Paul? So,
Yes.
so I think it's more of a recommendation to each municipality to know that this is a moment where, as a municipality, you have to speak up. And I don't think there's any group that would do that other than, I think Paul said that, New York Attorney General's, maybe it's as simple as following the lead of the Attorney General on this.
It sounds like to me as individual municipalities, we should reach out. The only other way would be each municipality to send us a letter and say, and then we could
Please support
attach
us.
that to it as part of the Hudson 7. So it would be, I would think, be the only other proper protocol to follow here.
The only other thing I'll add is just, when Paul sent this around, he noted that the New York State limits on 2 PFAS chemicals are quite low. We're talking about parts per trillion, tiny, concentrations that boggle the mind. But there are more regulations coming. So even if you are in compliance with the current state regulations, there are federal regulations that will be more protective so it will require treatment at even lower levels of detection for more chemicals. There are more proposals at the state level that are pending that will add more chemicals to the list of regulated chemicals in this PFAS group. So if there's any, pushback about in your community about saying, well, we're not affected by this, I would assume just make the assumption that you will be affected by it in the future as a rule of thumb, I would say, because these chemicals are very widespread. There are a lot of them, and you'd be better to assume that you just haven't detected the problem that will be flagged later on with the way things have been going over the last few years with these. That would be my recommendation.
All right, thank you. So we'll leave this up to each municipality.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Hey, Hudson 7, Amanda Laval from Ulster County has just arrived.
Hello, Amanda.
Hi.
Glad you could join us. All right,
Hi, sorry for being late.
no worries. So we're now down to public comment. I don't see anybody from the public.
No.
Right, Rebecca? No, I can't see the full screen.
No, we haven't any.
Okay, very good. All right, let's move on. Hudson 7 501c3 process. First order of business, everybody has had a chance to review the invoices from Mackley Butts. I'd like to make a motion to approve the invoices as submitted.
So moved.
Thank you, Russ. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Hi.
Very good.
All right, so I can submit that invoice now to you, Devin, okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
Next steps, we've not had any other follow-on meetings with Ian McDonald on terms of what the process should be. The last thing we did, as Rebecca mentioned, Emily gave us 2 other kind of models that we could look at, and we met with Emily and kind of went through some of those. It's kind of along the lines of things that we've been discussing, so I think there's an evolving process still. I know Russ and Devin have both requested to, when we have another kind of a meeting with them together, so I'm going, when we set the next meeting up, I'm including you guys,
Good,
right?
good.
Right, so that we can share the information, because I think the more the better. Right, more than happy with that.
So like an organizational work group, is that what we're proposing, Gary, for the record? And
We're
that,
just adding, I don't know what you want to call it.
Okay.
Originally you and I were appointed to know, now we're including Russ and Devin to be part of that process.
do you want to schedule a meeting coming up? What would you like to do? With this group?
Yeah, probably we should. Let's get everybody, so we're all on the same page. And I don't have anything else other report than that. We're not really moved. The needle isn't moving.
So we can meet in December and then maybe have something to discuss in January, Gary?
We can try, yeah, let's try.
Okay,
Because I don't want to go back to Ian until we have a very crisp thing, because every time you call him, it's a bill.
Right.
So I'd rather be focused on moving forward and talking about, and Emily. Sorry, I left you out. Emily, since you're part of the process that we spent time with this week, would you like to be included in next meeting?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
thank you, Emily.
Please add Emily. Sorry I missed you.
No worries.
Anybody has anything else to add to that process? All right. All right, PCB, Randy, you went to the meeting, right?
No.
Oh, you did go.
Oh, no, what we need to
Oh.
do is Randy, last time we met, Randy agreed to be the rep for Hudson 7 on the Community Advisory Group, CAG, which is
Yeah.
really great, and I think we couldn't
I
vote.
thought they had a meeting.
No, so we need to just approve, I assume, or I believe we have to vote to appoint Randy
Oh,
on the CAG.
I thought we did that last meeting, though.
We
No, we
could-
didn't know about it at the last meeting.
Oh, we
I
couldn't
just
vote,
heard about
right.
it. Rebecca told me, I think Rebecca said she would take
She
over
was good.
unless someone else wanted it.
Ah,
And
okay.
I said I would.
I
And,
remember that.
Okay, that's what
Yes.
happened. And so I made a contact with them. And so what happened is there's a PCB cleanup in northern part of the Hudson River. And they have the CAG, which is a community action group. I think that's what it's
Advisory,
called.
yeah.
Yeah, so they have a group and they offered to make it available through appointment for us. And because we are concerned about the Hudson River, I thought it'd be great to be on that.
Yeah,
So they talk about meeting maybe twice a year. But what they do is they're a good clearinghouse, because any information that comes out, it'll go to me. So it'll be really good information to get me involved.
So a report I just read were that even though after the cleanup and everything, PCB levels have come down, but not steer at the levels that they were supposed to be.
There's more areas that they're investigating to do more cleanup.
So that's kind of stuff that gets discussed in.
Right. Yep.
All right, so
I just heard today that Scenic Hudson did a study on the Hudson River and determined that the methods that are being used have not been adequate to remove PCBs. And they submitted that report to EPA, and EPA is supposed to next year determine whether these improvements have helped or additional stuff has to be done.
So the report was done by the Friends of Clean Hudson, and that's Scenic Hudson, Riverkeeper, and Clearwater. And Riverkeeper and Scenic Hudson have independent scientists that they're working together, and they created this new technical review on the PCB remedy, the Hudson River PCB remedy for the upriver segment of the river. And what they determined is that the remedy is not protective. Using publicly accessible data, they made this report, and all of that information was delivered to anyone who registered to go to what was a recent virtual meeting this week. It was a briefing. It was a big public briefing. I think some of you went. I think Lynn went.
Yes.
And I have the link now available in the agenda, which I need to resubmit because it just was posted yesterday, so that you can all see. And if anybody wants to see the technical review, maybe I should just distribute it to everybody if you'd like. It's an executive summary and technical review on the remedy, the Upper Hudson remedy, the Hudson River PCB Superfund site remedy. Is that something everybody would like to see?
I would.
Yeah, I would.
All right, so I'll distribute that tonight, so you have it.
Thank you.
And then I'll share this link, so if you'd like, you can watch the briefing, which has great speakers. Dr. David Carpenter was there. Drew Gambles from Riverkeeper, Pete Lopez from Scenic Hudson, Aaron Mayer from representing himself, who is one of the pioneers of environmental justice in the state, and others, great speakers. So this should be helpful. It's like 45 minutes. So I'll send that. Thanks for raising it, Paul.
And just to point out one thing, Pete Lopez from Scenic Hudson is the former EPA administrator. So he the person who's now holding that position at EPA needs to make this determination. And we have, in our coalition, Scenic Hudson staff, Pete Lopez, who was formerly in that position, who is stating he's looked at the data. It's obvious that unfortunately the cleanup didn't meet its goals, and the goals were fairly simply stated as eat the fish safely, and that's not where we're at. Unfortunately, it won't be for decades. So it's unfortunate, but that's the facts.
And there's an upcoming 5-year review, so it's the third draft 5-year review. And so we're waiting for the EPA to drop the report, and the advocates are calling for a not protective determination, which means that the remedy is not protective of human health and the ecology. And it looks like it was supposed to be released. I think they started announcing it in early April. Maybe even last fall. But it's now, they pushed it back again, which is a good thing in that they were going to release it over the holidays. So now it looks like that process will occur in January, February, or sometime in the spring. And there likely will be a good 60 to 90 day public comment period. So that's the update. And Randy, thank you so much for representing the Hudson 7 on the CAG. That's a big deal. And did we vote on that?
No, that's what I was gonna do next.
Okay, thank you.
So I'd like to formalize that position of having Randy be the Hudson 7 representative of the CAG. I make the motion to formalize Randy, so I have a second. Lynn, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Well, it's good that Randy said aye.
I said aye. They've asked me that I could have a backup, in case I can't make it, and I'd recommend Dottie for that. We work so close together.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Okay, I don't remember what the FOCH virtual meeting was.
So that's the Friends of Clean Hudson, or we've moved beyond that. So I'm gonna send it was essentially the Friends of Clean Hudson, which is Scenic Hudson, Riverkeeper, and Clearwater, did a big press conference and a public virtual meeting to announce this technical review document, essentially. So it's a deep dive, and in fact, Kevin Ferrer, who formerly worked for the New York State DEC in remediation, was also a speaker. So it's really good. He's got good data and graphs and an explanation of how the independent scientists came to the conclusions they did in the report. So that's all that is, Gary.
All right, thank you. Paul, there's been still some more movement on the lead copper front, right?
Yeah, on the lead copper improvements, EPA still has not issued that. And I know that a lot of the water companies are getting very frustrated. And I know even New York State DOH is getting very frustrated because they will not change the date that the survey and compliance plan is due next October. In talking to a lot of people, there's a lot of confusion. For example, they really want to protect children, and so daycare centers have to do special testing and whatever, as long as schools. Now, if you have a daycare center that you have 3 or 4 kids at, does that comply? And people really don't know. So there's a lot of questions, and there's still no, they haven't issued these improvements to that rule.
But the October date still stands, right?
Yes, October 24th, October 2024.
Right. Anybody, I don't know how everybody's doing on this. Nick, Randy, I know we're moving ahead and doing the surveys and collecting the data, and for us, it's not that hard, and we're identifying a few, but
I don't work with distribution, so I don't have a whole lot of handle. I know they have a program going in the city. And I'm fairly certain they do in the town also, because I've heard Jay talk about it. But they're doing what they can do.
My understanding for the city was that they had a lot of their mapping already done because they were applying for grants years ago. So some of that has already been done for the city and the town has been working. With their plans moving forward, so planning that 2024 date as well.
Russ, you know?
I was just told in the way that they've started looking at the municipal lines, the ones that the town controls, but I know it's ongoing, but I really don't know where it is. I can tell you, okay, how aggressive they are.
Lynn, Hyde Park, you
I
going?
believe that the water authority is working on it and knows where many of the spots are, and there aren't very many.
Right.
I think they believe that they have control of it.
Nick?
Yeah, so we're about 99% of the way done with replacing new water meters since 2017, before my time. Unfortunately, the meter replacement form, it didn't say material type. So we had just recently changed that about a year ago. So I'm confident my predecessor, who sat there for 30 years, never saw lead. I only have 1,500 service connections, and the guys that work for me now, none of them have seen lead with respect to all of the meters they've changed out. We're about 100 meters shy of 100%.
But there's galvanized stuff that impacts it as well, right?
Like the goosenecks.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we're pretty much K copper, soft K copper, and that's where I'm at now, basically, it's records research. So one of the nicer things about my predecessor and the town as a whole, keeping records, easily finding records from 1937, when the system went in, like the second page, it immediately says type of material for 3/4 inch services shall be made of soft K copper. Granted, at that time, there might have only been 200 services, but then the next contract was like 1959, so on and so forth. So we're doing records research, and we're in a good spot, I think, with records research. It's really the second part about the public. Right. So how we go about that, whether it's a message on bills or accepting their pictures and so on and so forth, if we're talking about scratch tests.
well, we did Rhinebeck, we hired a temp, a student
Mhm.
out of Bard. And gave them all of our records, and that person went out and set up all the interviews, set up all the site reviews, and then submitted the reports that we did, and it really worked out well for us. And she didn't quite finish, she's gonna come back at the end of the year here and finish some more, but it was an effective process for us to do all the site inspections.
Sure. Yeah, I'm soon I'd like to propose to the town board something similar, where we hire third party to basically take what we have on hand and kind of be the lead agency.
Yeah, well, you know Brian, reach out to
course.
Brian
Yeah.
and he can fill you in on how we
I will.
go.
I'll
Okay.
definitely do that. Thanks.
Yep. The more we can share information, the better. Okay. Anything else on lead copper? Moving on, salt front, Paul?
Well, I have some great news. The DEC has finally approved a scope of work to start evaluating the salt front. They're going to do a hydraulic study with USGS. And this study will determine where the salt front will be over the next 50 years. So this is the first step that really needs to be done before we can determine, do we have to do anything, or do we have to put RO on everything or whatever? So this is just like the first step. Also, this study will tell us what parts of the environment could be affected by this. So it's a great first step. I think Dan and I were notified on October 15th and no, November 15th, and they have offered to let us look at it and give them comments. And they're due on December 15th. As everybody remembers, about 2 years ago, I called up DEC and said, have you guys been looking at the salt front because of climate change? And they said, no. And so I got a group of experts together and we started to develop a preliminary scope and got a lot of good information from a lot of people. And so I guess last September, DEC said we're going to issue a scope of work in 6 months, and it's been 18 months, but I'm extremely happy that they finally did it anyway. And they got funding for it.
Yeah, so this is great work, Paul. That funding you just mentioned, wasn't that like $500,000 was approved?
That's correct. $500,000. So.
Yeah, Paul, you just deserve a huge credit for getting that done. And I know it felt long to you, but I think in advocacy terms, that was about as efficient as I've ever seen something like that happen. I think it's really, really great. So good job.
Bravo,
Yeah.
bravo. Thank you.
I mean, it was just wonderful to see everybody, high level people jump into that and be able to do so. Great job.
So Rebecca has a thing on the salt front during the 1960s drought. I don't know if you guys remember the 1960s drought. You're probably all too young, but I remember I couldn't swim in the reservoir anymore because there was no water in it. So it was a really 64, 65 was really a horrible drought, and it's the drought of record. And I've been talking to Dr. Tom Lynch at Maris, and he told me that the salt front went as far north as Kingston. So it would affect almost every one of our intakes, and probably we didn't know it at that time. And he finally got some research and got some backup references and whatever. So that's going to be very helpful, which I'm going to give to DEC and USGS. And probably you all know that New Orleans is having a lot of problems because the salt front is going up the Hudson River, the Mississippi River, and they're actually building a dike below the water surface to hold back the salt front, because salt is heavier than regular water, so they're able to almost like build a dam to prevent it from coming up. So it is a really big concern. So, but thanks for everybody's support.
No, keep us informed.
I think that's something else.
You know, Paul,
Randy has something to say. Randy raised his hand.
So what's going on too is that there's a group that's getting together to do a online presentation of various people that have to do with salt fronts and salt and drinking water. And they asked me to talk about the Hudson River as it affects the water treatment facility here. But Dr. Chant is on that group. So something's gonna happen in the next few months.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like they're talking about everybody to get 15 minutes to do something. Like we'll talk about water here, how we've seen in the past and such. And then.
Do you know if we're gonna video that?
It'll be online, so yeah, I imagine it will be, no problem, but it's gonna be a Zoom.
Cool.
Yeah. I'll keep you advised.
Thank you. Okay, committee reports. Mike's not on. I know, maybe
Mike
Dan.
is on. Mike is on.
Hey, Mike, are you there? Okay, sorry, can't see you. Mike, you want to give us an update?
I think he just said.
His audio is bugging
Oh.
out.
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna read what he says. I apologize for text here for DWSP updates. Our next DWSP2 stakeholder meeting is scheduled for tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Right? The plan is to continue our conversation regarding Hudson 7 priority issues and associated protection and management methods. We'll also be introducing our new technical assistant provider, Paige Bogart.
You know what, Mike? I'm sorry. Paige was here at the beginning, but I didn't recognize the name.
Okay.
So I didn't, I asked the question who it was and didn't get a response. So I did not let Paige in. My apologies.
Here's another message.
He says no problem at
No
all.
problem.
So we'll meet Paige tomorrow, sounds like.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, anchorages. Boy, I'll tell you what. Everybody's getting on board, right? But at our last meeting, and anybody else can chime in here, the only thing we decided is we're gonna continue to do what we said we were gonna do and still collect data to come up with an RNA and work through that process. John Liscombe was very much in favor of us continuing, even though all of this other stuff is happening at a higher level above us. If things could change in the future, and we could still be poised to have this RNA ready. So we have another when's our next meeting, Rebecca? Have we set a next meeting? We said 2 weeks.
Well, we have a meeting set up right now with Heather Gearloff in part to discuss anchorages. So now that we have that set for December the 7th, we're going to bring Emily and Dan together to discuss the agenda, which then could be submitted to the Anchorage Committee just for any input before meeting with Heather. Following that meeting, it would be a good time to come back around with the Hudson 7 Anchorage Committee. So it could be in December, it could be at the, early January, depending on what the group decides to do.
But the Anchorage Committee is still collecting data. I mean, the whole first part is get all the data that we need to have in terms of, John's really looking at ship traffic and spills and all that other data that are going on, so we can accumulate some history and some tracking mechanisms. And so we're all working on pieces of this.
So Drew Gamels, who's the staff attorney at Riverkeeper, has found 2 examples, one RNA and another a letter. Forgot the actual technical term of the letter, but has also reached out to the Coast Guard. And actually, I think the RNA or the letter is directly related to the Mississippi.
It was.
The sample, right? And that's all, and we do have our filing. We have an RNA filing system, and Drew had outreach to the Coast Guard to see whether or not they might have some models that they could share with us. So waiting to hear back. We should learn more about that next week. And there is yep, that's it.
I mean, there's been a lot of press. I'm not going to review all the press that's going on unless somebody wants, but there's been a lot of press. Okay. Any other questions on the anchorages?
I will just say one thing, just for the councils. So the council is aware, the press has all been uploaded to your press page on the website so that you can see what press has come in. What's notable is in your agenda is the new MSIB, the new bulletin. So the Coast Guard rescinded their original bulletin from July, and they reissued a new bulletin on the 8th of November. And so now everybody is waiting to see what the Coast Guard's next steps are to be. There is a presentation that Riverkeeper hosted with Representative Pat Ryan, a brown bag on the matter. And I can also send that around if you have not received that. Also on the agenda are just some of the press releases and notable press where the Hudson 7 was either involved with a quote or interviewed, as well as Senator Rob Rollison's letter in the Hudson 7's response of thanks. And the only new thing is here, which is an upcoming meeting with Heather Gearloff from the Hudson River Estuary Program, which we've mentioned several times. So that's what all of this is on your agenda for you.
What's really nice about this is that both sides, Republicans and Democrats, are supporting this. So it's finally something that these 2 parties can work together on, which is fabulous.
I hope you all don't mind. I mean, the responses have been asked to be submitted within 24 hours, and sometimes we only have less than 2 hours. So I've taken the liberty to respond as chair. if anybody has any comment or any objection or whatever, please let me know. I'll gladly bring in other people if you want to
Thank you.
dig into that.
Have
Right,
fun with
but Rebecca's been helpful as well. So,
Thanks for doing that, Gary.
it's been it's been a coalition of effort between Scenic Hudson, Riverkeeper, and Hudson 7. And as for an organization as young as we are, to be, I'm gonna say, right at the same punching weight as these two great organizations is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and if you look at the
Thank
response,
you.
every response addresses now drinking water. That wouldn't have happened 5 years ago. There would have not been a mention of drinking water 5 years ago. Now every one of them says the effect of drinking water. So you guys have done a great job. That's all I'm gonna say.
Gary, Amanda Laval had her hand raised and now it's down.
Okay,
Did
I
you-
can't see the hands, so.
Okay.
No,
let-
I just wanted to express my appreciation for this group and just that was a huge win. That was a big deal. And just the organization and everything you were able to, bring to bear so quickly and so effectively, and just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Chippy, we all know the EMCP process has been moved out to January, February. They've gone out and met with, I think, every water facility. I think they've met. Has anybody not been met with?
We met with
Bye.
them today.
You met today?
Mhm.
Good. And you, Randy?
Yeah.
So our comments, as far as I know, are going in. What the question is, typically it's a 30-day comment period that they announce when they come out with it. Rebecca and I were talking today about wondering if it'd be wise to make the request as part of one of our EMC requests to extend it to a 60-day comment period to give more time for people to review, whether they would accept that or not, and how much impact it has on their downstream schedule, right? In terms of trying to get things done by adding another month into that review. I have no clue, but I personally don't think there's anything wrong with asking to get 60 days.
So
And-
Gary, two things. One is, Dottie, we can't see you right now. Your camera, is it off or is there something? Can you all see what's happening at the Hudson in Poughkeepsie?
Well, no, our camera's out for some reason.
Oh, okay. So in the certificate, there is a 30-day comment period for the EM and CP. And the way my
You
understanding,
turned it off on here.
you tell me when you're ready. Oh, there we go.
Alrighty,
Great. In the certificate, there's a 30-day comment period for the EM and CP. And what we saw when we met with the engineers of TDI to understand the prelay mattressing process was that they were very open. And they offered during the prelay mattressing to give the water operators a couple of days notice before they started coming down the river, which was outside of what was required. And so to do that, they submitted a letter to the PSC, and that letter was accepted. I'm not sure what that process was, but it required TDI to make that request, I think, outside of its certificate, because it was not required. And so in this case, we're wondering if we might be able to do the same thing, which is to make the request that the Hudson 7 has worked so hard for many years to get to this point. And once the EM and CP is released in the new year, it'll be the first time that everybody sees the pathway of the chippy cable, and it would be helpful if everyone had time to really review the report or to review the EM and CP to be able to give the best, comments that they can with time to do it comfortably. So the action is whether or not the Hudson 7 wants to write a letter. Gary could write a letter to the group that we met with of engineers over the summer when we were trying to learn about the process that was upcoming. and see if they might be amenable to, when they release the EM and CP, that they would also amend the 30-day to 60 days to give everybody a little more time to, get their comments in. So,
Sure. Yeah, everybody's been nodding their heads here from the beginning, so I'm gonna make a motion that we send a letter. You authorize me to draft a letter and send to them for 60 days.
Second.
Nick, Randy, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll move forward on that. Thank you. We have a couple minutes. Emily, are you live?
More or less.
There you go. You want to give us an update on the HREMAC?
I don't
You have
think
any
there's
update?
any update this month. I had emailed. Oh, you want me to reiterate what I had said in my email?
yes.
Not really.
Well,
but
you, that was the idea. You mean you don't need to, but that there's space in case you want to.
Sorry, I wasn't.
Well,
wasn't
you know what,
up to date
Emily,
on that.
if you can summarize it, this is good for public if they would go back and review this. If they
Sure.
don't-
Essentially, at the HREMAC meeting, there was an update about the Anchorage issue that was discussed earlier. And as you know, I'm your representative on the HREMAC. That's the Hudson River Estuary Management Advisory Committee, which advises the governor on the management of the Hudson River, essentially. And so we had an update from the Coast Guard, and at that meeting, they let on that they might be rethinking their anchorage policy, which is old news because now we know they did rethink it. But at that meeting, I was able to reiterate for the Hudson 7 that we were very concerned about the risks from the anchorages, and got that message out there. So that's all.
Thank you, Emily.
I had one thing. First of all, Emily did a great job repping the Hudson 7 at that meeting. I attend as Riverkeepers rep. One other thing that was on the agenda that was unexpected to me, was new, but the state is updating its open space plan. And that has in the past identified priorities on land. But because of the state's 30 by 30 conservation goal that is inclusive of both land and waters, what we learned is that this plan, at least they are thinking about whether this plan might identify marine protected areas or water protected areas. So it's something for us to watch. It's something I know Riverkeeper is going to follow up with DEC about, but it might be something that could ultimately be of interest and beneficial to the Hudson 7. So just an early flag of a potential thing to watch.
Thank you, Dan. All right, Rebecca mentioned earlier that she's going over our roster of whose terms and that kind of stuff. And so you want to just give a brief synopsis on this in the last couple minutes, Emily, in terms of, I'm not Emily, excuse me, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Where we're headed with trying to update this.
Yeah. So the Hudson 7 has many staggered appointments and some empty seats. And we're in the midst of what is a transition of some of our members after the election. We're still waiting to see how that's all shaking out. But I wanted to suggest to the council, so every year, every February, there is an opportunity to elect membership. So the executive team, the chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. And the terms for primary and alternate reps are 2-year terms. Some of you are expiring at the end of the year, like Ulster County, like Amanda, whose term is up on December the 31st, and what have you. So we thought, just to have a refresh, it might be good for the municipalities and counties to take this resolution, which is now just essentially our bylaws, back to their municipalities and counties to appoint an primary and alternate member. And we can just get a fresh start in February and vote our leadership and then move into the new year with more clarity. Right now, the seats that we have the clarity on, it's all on the Hudson Sevens website in the About section. But we need to find a better way of making that all available and publicly accessible. So it'll just be good to get all the resolutions at once, and we'll have kind of a clean slate. That's what I'm proposing. Unless there's a better idea. Yep.
Elizabeth, you had your hand up?
Yeah, this is something you'd like for us to take care of in January?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. I mean, if you agree, you can take this draft language, which is essentially our bylaws, and you can introduce it anytime between now and, February, if that's when we want to have everything.
Yeah, for us, there's no major changes, so I could do it in December. Thank you.
Great.
So Rebecca, would you just send that out to everybody individually?
I'll do that first thing tomorrow. And then the municipalities and counties can work on it, and please let me know how I can assist to help you to get it done. So we can come back at the end of February and have clarity on all of our seats. And let's fill them all.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, is there anything else oh, we need somebody to cover our website. We've been rotating this. It's $155 a year. I did it last year. I don't forget who did it the previous year. I've lost track.
Town of Poughkeepsie did it the first year, and then you did it, or maybe Emily.
So I'm happy to do it and make up the shortfall for the two last payments.
Okay. All right.
Which will be like, I don't know, what did I say? I'm $3 short, so I'll propose it to my board. I'm happy to take it on.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Why isn't that just a bill that the board would pay with the money we have?
Because we only collect enough dues to pay our coordinator, and when we redo our budget next year after we incorporate, I think as a treasurer, I'll prepare an actual budget, and we should have some surplus money to cover things like this, in my opinion.
I mean,
Sounds great.
just remember though that the municipalities and the counties are providing funds for a coordinator. So it could be a little tricky.
We have nothing else, and we should, after we're incorporated, look at having some additional funds for these things, and I can work on that if I continue as treasurer.
Yeah,
But
that'll be a game changer. Yeah.
Sorry?
It'll be a game changer when we can raise money for other things.
Yeah, but I will ask my board to support paying for the the 155.70 and the shortfall for the money we collected in Rebecca's fee, which is just a couple of bucks. Rebecca, could you email me about that separately? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. Okay. Any other comments, any other suggestions? Yep. I'd like to make a motion to close our November meeting and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
All right.
All in
Happy
favor, say
holidays.
aye.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
See you in January.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy holidays.
Happy holiday.
Lynn, would it be helpful if we sent